The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Happiness Jungle TV show. CammieBaker.com in the house. I'm fabulous, fierce, and I'm on fire today.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to have Megan with me. Megan and I met at an event about a month ago at a men's fashion networking event.
Yep.
And Megan was there because she is now running the Boston Men's Networking Group.
Yep.
And so you were there representing, looking for the men to be in the group. And tell us a little bit about who you are, what in the world got you on this fascinating journey.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. And it was very clear the moment I met you that you were a total rock star, total badass. You're like, yes, 100% yes. So I'm honored to be here today. So yeah, I have a very eclectic background. I studied a lot of somatic psychology for my undergrad. I was in Boulder for 4 years and then Denver for 4 years, so out in Colorado for 8.
Beauty,
I grew up
fierce, and brains. Triple threat.
Triple threat. So I love, grew up in Boston, so I love being back here. And I was one of the co-founders of the Boston Business Women's Conference that we threw. So we now have 17,000 women in the Facebook group.
17,000 women in the Boston
Businesswoman. So
Facebook
I'm a co-founder
group
of that group, right? So during my time there, it became really clear that there wasn't anything like that for men, a community, a place to get together and work on personal and professional development and skill sets that maybe aren't there yet. And I didn't think it was going to be my gig, right? You hear about a need and you're like, yeah, there's definitely a need in the market, but I never took it, as something I would own. So a series of events happened and it became really clear that this was something that I needed to do.
Well, I just have to say that I went to one of your events a couple of weeks ago. It was at a very interesting, eclectic restaurant.
The Brahmin.
The Brahmin. It was a very cool atmosphere. And the men that were there were very grounded and centered and solid and truly there to grow and to be open and vulnerable. And the men that you had speak were talking about what it means to be a gentleman. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because I have a relationship coach right now.
Nice.
And one of the first gentleman that you had speaking was a little bit of a bigger guy and he had the full beard.
Yeah.
Totally not my type if I have one.
Yeah.
But as he was talking, and he had such maturity. And he was so just confident and not in a cocky way, but just like, this is what it's like to be a man. And this is what it's like to be a gentleman. Mm-hmm. And he talked about that story of the woman who drank too much and how the men rallied around to take care of her. I thought, I find him a little attractive. So it's beautiful that these guys are getting together.
Isn't that the way life is?
Yeah.
Like at first, like the way that the mind works is we sort of categorize things. It's a natural part of survival. But as you get to know people, you see their beauty.
Mm. Yeah. Now, I noticed online a couple of days ago, you've just been accepted to be a coach in
for
Forbes?
the Forbes Coaches Council.
What the heck is that?
Yeah, so I'll be listed as one of the Forbes contributors, which is very exciting, as well as listed as one of their coaches, and then I can do some cross marketing. So
what does that mean exactly?
So
I didn't know
it's
Forbes
almost like how the Boston men's group is, in a sense, where I can plug into their website and there's a private portal with all of these different coaches that are sharing resources. So there's a partner company, and I can't recall the name of it, that's working in collaboration with Forbes that is going to be supplying information specific to growing your business as a coach. So really helping us and having that community component too.
As a coach, what is your clientele? Like who do you coach and help?
So at first it was women because I was dealing with, the Boston business woman, but it's definitely men now.
Any certain...
Which is fine for me. I feel like that it's nice. Not that I wouldn't work with a woman if a woman needed coaching and, preferred working with me. But more that where I'm in this study and really watching how men need to be spoken to a little bit differently, like the delivering of the information. I think at a human level, we're all the same. We all have like a super set of emotions. We all have fear and trauma. We all have joys and desires, but we receive information differently. So tailoring things to men and a man's discernment is really part of my job. So I'm excited to coach some of the guys that are showing up with some stuff.
Totally agree with everything that you're saying, because as a networking expert, talking about personality styles and tonality and neuro-linguistic programming and scripting and all these different things about how to build rapport and things like that. Human beings are human beings overall, but men and women do process and take in information differently. Have you heard of the book, The Queen's Code?
Yeah, I'm reading something else by her right now.
Oh,
actually, I just probably got through 2 hours more. I'm almost at the end, and I get to the end, I'm like, I don't want it to end. Do you get like that on books? Like, I get to the end, I'm like, don't end.
Well, and the Queen's Code, they did it with video. So they had a book club that was reading the book, and then at the end of every chapter, they had like a 45-minute video with the people in the books club asking her questions.
Oh, I love it.
And the one thing that I think about it almost every day is the very first chapter, she says, listen, we're going to teach you some language of how to speak with men and to men in a different way. But before you go any further, you need to promise to put your sword down.
Yeah.
Because women have been castrating men.
Yeah.
And you're stupid, or you're not good enough, or she says in it, she says even just by picking up the bill and paying the bill, or not letting a man open the door for you in certain different ways is a way of castrating and not letting them be who they want to be, a protector, they want to be your hero, they want to help. And by not letting them open the door in some ways, you're actually taking their power away. And I think about that because I do that a lot.
Yeah, because we're strong. When you're strong and when you've been sort of positioned to take care of yourself in certain ways, a lot of women end up, taking on what would be considered masculine traits. Like, I got this, I can carry my own groceries or open my own door or make my own money or whatever it is. But when a man sees that as a way that he can actually give to you, it's more powerful to receive than it is to be like, oh, I got this on my own. So that is actually a greater strength, that a woman, if she can be vulnerable, allows him to feel well and whole, and not necessarily, or not in any way, superior. And it's not a power play.
No, yeah. I went to an event in Costa Rica about 4 years ago, and we were creating some possibility, and me being in my I manifest, and somebody said, well, how about if you receive? I was like, that's such a paradigm shift from manifesting to receiving. But you think, if you're manifesting and creating and making something happen versus I'm just open to receive. I receive all that I want, and all that I want is for the greater good, including myself. That's my mantra that I got from it.
I love it.
So if I'm open to receive, then I don't have to manifest, because if I'm open to receive, everything I want is just going to come to me anyway.
I'm rreceiving that. I'm receiving that. It's so good.
Talk to me about this, the degree and all the. I didn't know. I didn't know it was in such presence of such a well-educated, like your head. Like I could just see your.
I don't know.
I could see your real sermon. So what's that all about? What's your history? Where'd you come from?
So I told my whole story last night. We had the focus group with the men, which was fantastic. I started meditating when I was 7.
Get out.
Yeah. So we started. Obviously, it was my mom. It wasn't me. Like, let's go meditate, right? Because I wouldn't have known. I mean, it would have been like, let's draw and paint. But we started a weekly meditation group, an Edgar Casey meditation group, and then. That kind of sets the brain up in a certain way to be able to access different brain waves and stay calm in different situations. So I think it really shaped my adolescence in a lot of ways. And then I got back into like during teenage years, I was like a socialite, having a blast, traveling and
Now that part
parties.
of you I can see.
Yeah, totally, definitely. I'm like, is there a party? I'm coming. Like, I don't even know the people. I walk in, like, hi. But later I got back into meditation about 19. Worked at State Street Bank for a couple of years. They were priming me for like to be a lifer, and I just couldn't get excited about it. Even though I had a really devoted meditation practice and I felt great, I was like, I just know that if I stay here, I won't be able to do the work I'm here to do. So I ended up living at an yogic ashram in Virginia for just about a year.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I was training the teachers that were coming in to learn how to teach yoga. I'd already been teaching for a couple of years, and this was 20 years ago when a lot of people didn't even know what yoga was. And after living in the ashram, I was like, all right, I gotta like get into things again, because here I am like just being this blissed out in a very yin state, like very much just receiving and practicing yoga and meditating. And then I was like, all right, I need some yang energy, I need some life, and to get into some trouble. So, I remember thinking that, I'm like, this is gonna be boring, I'm just gonna meditate my whole life, I'm 21 years old, you know what I mean? So I went to college, to this Buddhist college in Colorado. I wanted to study dance therapy. And I ended up studying all different kinds of things while I was there. And then I did my master's in philosophy in Switzerland. I still need to write my thesis, so I haven't finished. But all of my class time in Switzerland, which is beautiful, is complete with that. So super progressive, looking at media and communication and arts as forms of communication and really changing the way people think. So then that led me into like my marketing company, Marketing Superheroes. And I just really love people and helping people with innovation within, right?
So as a marketing
So a little bit
person-
different than just marketing. I was craving that like other work.
So as a marketing person, now I have to ask you, I put
Yeah.
a post yesterday with 3 choices. Do you like cause marketing movement, cause marketing campaign, or your brand on cause?
I think I saw that post. I saw the word movement. What's the word? David Avery actually said, I don't like you calling the men's group a movement, because I ended one of the emails like that, because someone was like, this is a movement, and I was like, there it is, and he was like, don't say that. And
I like movement.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think people want to be a part of
I think it is
a
a
movement.
movement without question, but whether or not I bang that drum, men are more critical of the language I use than women are, I would say. I'm going to say that. Yeah. So, okay, you said you have movement, and then what was the
Cause
second one?
marketing movement, cause marketing campaign, your brand on cause.
I like to use the word your brand on cause, because then people bring it in and they're like, oh, it's going to help me, right? And I think people will buy that kind of thing. And then movement I like a lot as well, because then you are part of something, and I think you give that feeling of like, we're going to go with you. I think you could definitely do movement.
Well, I
too.
bought all 3 domains.
Oh, cool, nice.
So they're all going to point to the same place, but from the marketing perspective, I got to pick one to use for
The
marketing.
campaign piece speaks to me because I'm a marketer.
Right.
But everybody else is going to be like, oh, campaign?
Right.
Nobody likes ads. I love ads. I'm like, I don't want to watch a football game. I want to watch the ads.
That's funny. Well, I digress, because this is all about you.
No, it isn't. Let's have a convo.
But I just think it's fascinating. You went from a women's group to a men's group, and now I find out you got all of this really sophisticated training in the background. So what motivates Megan? Like, what do you really want? Are you wanting to create movement? Because damn it, if you want to create a movement, I say you create a movement.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I really want to help heal the male heart. Yeah.
I've been
There's a
trying to
lot
heal
of-
them one at a
There's
time.
a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain. And I think that, like you were speaking to earlier, I think that we're sort of pitted against each other right now, or the language and the way that the conversation has been set up isn't necessarily so that we can begin to help each other heal. It may be a difficult sort of chasm to pass over, to say we're going to really understand one another, because we are very different, but at least be accepting of each other and move the conversation forward and out of what could potentially be the pitting against of the genders or the sexes. It's like that I see a lot, and it comes from a place of pain. So I think what's really fantastic is the guys that are showing up that have done the work to the extent that they're curious and they're hungry and they know there's more to life than just being a utility and a provider. There's something within that wants to find its purpose and be able to really make a difference in the world. And those are the guys I'm interested in working with. And then we're doing some work within companies to help sort of make this transition with the Me Too movement and everything has really, there's some backlash in teams because, as you know, like team building and when you're working with other people, you have to be in a good, you have to have good chemistry. And if someone's shutting down or not feeling safe, then the possibility of innovation and of really being fearless and being able to make mistakes is really going to be hindered. So if you were a futurist and you were going to look at the subtle sort of ticks that we're creating between the sexes in work, if you were to track that over a long period of time, much like if you're out on a hike and your compass is off by 1%, you're going to end up in a very different place.
No doubt.
So if we were to track that, it would be very important right now to sort of heal this conversation and educate both sides. Bring guys into the conversation if you're having a conversation about women's empowerment, so that they can learn what to do. And perhaps women can say, well, how can we educate the guys? Maybe send them a link to something, Harvard Business Review on women at work. Hey, I noticed what you said yesterday, no judgment, but just so you know, some woman may find offense to that, and I know you don't want to offend anyone.
So when you're doing the group, there's going to be all these different topics that come up, maybe breakout sessions, maybe weekend retreats around that type of thing.
Yeah, we've been asked to do weekend retreats, and as well as going into companies, and then we're also doing the socials, which are really accessible to anyone, right? It's really weighing out how much can be done, how fast. So one big piece is the membership, because that I feel like it's online. So you can tap into this network, and I'm going to be promoting the guys that are the members, which is nice because they can show up as leaders. So they'll be leading some of the conversations, and then we'll have a book club and monthly challenges like practicing looking at unconscious bias, practicing giving compliments to other people, and things like this, like challenges between the guys. I think it'll be a really nice way to have some fun coaching online. And then the other piece is going to be some deeper stuff that we'll do, like you're mentioning, maybe some workshops.
Yeah, to delve in deeper, because like you said, if the socials are open, like it's kind of like an AA meeting, some are for alcoholics and some are open to anyone. So, and there's a different dynamic and a different feel to those. So the ones that are actually closed, if you will, or restricted, or I thought my microphone was going to fall, then the men would probably feel more comfortable knowing that there aren't going to be women there and that they are going to be able to share.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always going to be at least one woman there.
Well, so I'm playing with that idea because it's funny, I have so much input coming at me. There's so many people that are interested in the trajectory of the company, which is exciting. And, in essence, it's very, it's a huge compliment, I feel, even if some of the critique is not positive. It's like, well, thanks for caring enough to send it my way. But we did a couple of men's only. We have one men's only huddle up coming up on August 19th, run by Scott Stoltz. And we did one run by John Guanchi. And I'm not sure yet. I think that guys need the space to have guy-only conversations. I really do, and I've heard that. Whether or not the business with this year, I'm not sure I can get there even by Q4, where the business sort of structure, it makes sense. If that makes sense, because having the space, it costs. Anyways, it's like not very interesting why I'm thinking we hold off on that till Q1. But I think that is a huge need. I also feel and have heard the most input is that it's really important that women's voices are in the mix. And the fact that I am a female leading a men's group is very important and very timely. If we are, so the whole premise of the work is one piece, it's like emotional intelligence. One component is self-mastery, understanding yourself, going within, dismantling the ego, removing judgment, all of this inner work, and doing that in community and doing that consistently is really part of the path of being a leader. The other piece of being a leader and emotional intelligence is how well you work with others. And if someone has not had to worry about the effect that they have on others, then they won't. And studies show that they will likely, if you're coming from a privileged position, you will likely miss the mark on what you think the other person is going through.
It's interesting you say that, because as a person who is dating, I notice that men who have children are much more compassionate. They have much more of an ability to love others besides themselves. You know, there was a point where I thought, oh, it would be great to date somebody or be with somebody that doesn't have kids and they don't have the baggage and they don't have the ex-wife and
then they have more time for me,
right?
Yeah.
But there's something to be said for people who've had to share themselves,
Yeah.
and or you know, buy tennis shoes instead of you know, the new
Most
watch
certainly.
or whatever.
Or to love someone unconditionally.
Well, I know for myself, even when I had my daughter, I was 30. And people that knew me thought, Cammie's going to have a baby? Like, that's weird. And I know my whole mindset changed. You know, I used to see things on TV, you know, kids being raped or kidnapped or molested or something. And I would think, oh, that's too bad for them. Let's go have a drink, you know. But now, with my daughter, I'm like, oh, I can see that be my daughter. And that was horrible. So yeah, having that whole community mindset.
Right,
And the last few minutes of the show, I want to talk a little bit, because we've got people watching that are watching you and thinking, wow, you know, that's amazing. That's impressive to build such a huge community with women and now to start over with men.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think drives you? Like, what are there affirmations? Are there books? Is there coaching? Like, what do you do on a daily basis to just stay
I was going to make a joke and be like, I started eating meat again. I'm like, I feel so much more grounded. But that is part of it. Like, nutrition is so huge. But so I take my practice pretty seriously. I think I let my exercise sort of ebb and flow with how busy or crazy my week is. And I'm really trying to be more consistent on that. Because I am an athlete and I love to move. I've been a dancer my whole life, so I love to dance and celebrate being embodied. But I have a pretty devoted meditation practice that I do every day, and that has sort of ebbed and flowed through the years. Like, I practiced Hinduism for 10 years, and then I did Zen Buddhist meditation, which is just complete nothingness. I did that for about 7 years. Then I did Course in Miracles for 3 years. And now I'm doing this training I took. It's a leadership training out in Colorado, PSI. It's similar to Landmark, only it's all experiential learning, which is how I teach, so that you're actually going through it. You're not just listening to someone give a talk.
Which is really important now. People
It's
want
so
experience.
important.
They need experience. They don't want PowerPoint.
Right.
They want experience.
Yeah, you've got to feel it. It's got to be visceral. So basically what it is, so I do my pranayama, which is breath work. So I do the breath of fire, and then I do the nadi shuddhi, which balances the right and left hemispheres of the brain and really soothes the nervous system. So for any of the listeners that ever struggle with nerves, or before you're going on to speak, or you're nervous to talk to your husband or wife about a big issue, or whatever it is, you do alternate nostril breathing. You can just look it up on YouTube, and there's probably a bunch of people. I think I have a video actually that shows how to do it. So I do that, and then the mind is completely still. Like, you could sit in silent meditation, just in a blissed out state. After doing those two breath pieces, so breath of fire, which opens the whole energy system and opens the seventh chakra.
I gotta watch your video. I want to see how this works.
I have all this meditation. It was so, I feel like from a media standpoint, I look back at those 2 years where I did all these videos, and I'm like, I was so funny. Like, if you tune in like midway through the video, you just see me sitting there. Like, visually, it's just hilarious.
But so you're doing breath of fire on the video.
I don't know if I do breath of fire, because that one is funny to look at. I don't know. My dog looks at me. She's like, are you all right? And I'm like, I'm all right, I'm all right. So I do those two things, and then I do a visualization taken from that PSI training that I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I've got to watch some of that, because if I could sit in a blissed out state and not need to pick up my phone or turn on the computer or talk to somebody, that would be a beautiful thing.
Yes, giving yourself that every day changes the brain waves. So you're able to access the theta brainwaves, if you can tap into that state of peace, it sends a message through the rest of your day that you can always come back to, that you're like, all right, let me just chill. Things just line up easier. It's so much nicer when you meditate than when you don't. I mean, do you meditate sometimes?
I try. I actually went and did the meditation in in the Berkshire Hathaways, Berkshire Hathaways, in the Berkshire Mountains. There was like a 10-day silent meditation.
At Kripalu?
No, it was in the Berkshires. But anyway, 10 days, totally silent, no eye contact.
Oh my God, that's so great.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know what I found out? I found out that we have a lot of small talk that is totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like 10 days of not talking, not writing, not looking anybody in the eye, just being going to the pagoda and all of that was just amazing. So I've tried all that, and they say that meditation is anything that helps you to just get out of yourself. And so pulling weeds or washing dishes can be meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you are using the practice consciously, because you can also be really washing dishes and having a miserable time or thinking about the future or the past. So really about staying present in the moment. And one easy way to do that is by tracking your breath. And then you could literally think of all of your life as being a meditation. You're like, I'm driving and I'm breathing.
It's funny you say that, because for me, meditation is dancing and driving.
Nice.
I love driving. I love listening to music or listening to Tony Robbins or Les Brown or something in the car. And when you talk about dancing, we've talked about this a little bit. Got to go do some ecstatic dancing.
Right.
Because I'll go down to Vincent's in Randolph.
Oh my God.
And I just do my own ecstatic dancing for like 2
cool.
hours. I close my eyes. I have no interest in talking to anybody or dancing with anybody. Just do my own thing. I'm doing my own thing.
That's terrific.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of places in Boston and everywhere to do that. So we got about a minute and a half left.
Okay.
What is next for the Boston men's group? Are you wanting it to be the LA men's group and the Miami men's group?
That's probably Q1. We already have some offers. People want to expand and bring it into licensing or franchise or something. So I think the first component is really growing this membership piece, so allowing guys to come in and participate in the online coaching piece, and then come to the socials is really important. And then we're talking to different companies and looking for corporate partnerships, companies that need this resource. That's really like the next phase for us.
Well, I know when I first met you, I was asking you, is it something like the Mankind Project?
Yeah,
so whether
they're doing great stuff.
whether it's a project or a movement or whatever we want to call it, we all need tribe. We all need to feel like we are connected. We all need to feel like we're part of something, which is what the Happiness Jungle is all about.
Woo, woo.
Being happy in the jungle, because it's a jungle out there.
Yeah.
And so on this show, we're always looking for people to inspire and give us things to think about and consider and ponder. And I, for one, as I said in my review for you about your group, I am awake, I am aware, I am on purpose, and I love meeting other people that are, especially the men. So thank God for people like Megan who are helping us to be awake and aware. Welcome to the Happiness Jungle. Thank you for being happy with us.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.